What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another show, and I am honored, and I mean honored with an old, not Eddie man, who was the older guy back in the day. We had a really big show, you know. Ed Sullivan. Ed Sullivan's who I'm thinking of. Yeah, he's older than us, so that's all that matters. And I got Julie Rose here from Not Your Hobby Marketing. Awesome. Y'all may remember Julie. She was part of when I did the Women in Beer Volume 1 a few months back, and now we're going to have a little solo talk, one-on-one, find out some of the things she's doing in the beer community, how she handles a lot of the stuff. And yeah, there's some stuff out of the barn in the beer community we'll probably get into as well and kind of get some feedback. I mean, it's kind of the elephant in the room on some of the stuff. And every week I see a new article coming out. So it's just like it's all coming out. And now I've got articles that I see coming out of people saying, hey, we're not with them. In a way, they're like, we don't do that here. We're not like the other people. So we're getting all that kind of stuff. But happy Sunday to you. Glad you could spend some time to join me here.
Well, thank you. Happy Sunday to you too. And
thank you.
You know, this conversation is going to require beer, so it's a good thing that we're drinking on this Sunday afternoon, because this is not. We've had a lot of uncomfortable brave conversations in the beer world over the past 12 months. You know, it's been interesting.
And some of them, most of them are definitely warranted. I mean, it's definitely been a while. There's stuff that's been overlooked for a good amount of time. So some of those I look at as being welcomed conversations into what is taking place in the beer community. So long overdue, and I think a lot of people feel that way as well. I know a lot of the women feel that way for sure. So, but first, what are you drinking? First of all, so we'll see. What did you put in your glass there?
So, these are some of my friends. I'll try to. Oh my gosh, everything's switched on a camera. And I'm like,
you're good here.
In the wrong place. This is a farmhouse ale from Fernson Brewing Company in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So shout out to South Dakota Beer. These are not only my friends, but they're also one of my clients. We work together, and they just did a beer drop into Colorado. So this is the first time I've been able to actually access their beers here. So for anybody in Colorado, you can get Fernson now in Denver. If you're anywhere near Denver, shout out to Craft Alley. That's a great place, by the way. Super great beer store near downtown Denver, and they get beer drops from like all over the US, so they have some really cool stuff there.
No, that's really awesome. Cool collection. Yeah, we don't usually get to see a lot of the beers out of South Dakota, so that's great.
They've got like a little kind of cult growing, beer scene there. It's kind of nice, like Sioux Falls. There's great stuff coming out of there and the surrounding areas, and then like you get over into like the Black Hills and stuff like that. Rapid City, places like that. But yeah, I'm a sucker for like a sessionable below 5 ABV sort of very crushable, I'm kind of a lager gal as well, even though this is a farmhouse ale, but I do love a good farmhouse, and I'm not fancy. I'm just drinking it out of the can,
Yeah. Well, all my friends that are watching from the UK, they're going to love you because they drink a lot of those low ABV beers over there. So
it fits into my background. I would love to talk about my company later, but my intro into the beer world was doing supplier side sales for import companies. So I had all German bosses, right? Mm-hmm. So stuff from Germany, Belgium, Scotland, Austria, England, places like that. So it's a different drinking culture. It's very social. Yeah. It's for very long periods of time. I had to sort of train myself to work in those positions. Like I was lucky enough to go overseas quite a few times and go to all of my partner breweries, which is wonderful because it's a great way to really immerse yourself in the brand and get familiar with the brand and the history. But, you have like a Hefeweizen at breakfast, and then you have some coffee, and then you move on to lunch, and like you have a couple Pilsners at lunch, and you have like a Radler in the afternoon, and then you move on to like Dunkels and Doppelboxer for dinner. And like, by the time you get home, you're like, oh, wow. So yeah, you sort of have to prepare yourself for it. I think I was kind of in training for that before I, spent many years here. But I am a fan of like session beers quite a bit. Also because I have 2 kids, so I have to maintain at least a little bit.
Just a little bit. Kids are going to make less themselves, I tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you get a Lunchable? Just unwrap the Lunchable.
I know.
Why do you need a hot?
I know. You know what? Some of the greatest advice that I got from some of my old German bosses were talk to your kids about beer. Just talk to them about alcohol. So they learn to respect it and love it and appreciate it. And so my 9-year-old thinks he's like a BJCP, he's like an expert, like judging and tasting. He's like talking about like flavor profiles, we let him take sips and he's like, it's hoppy, Mom, right? And I'm like, yeah, you're good. You're good. So trying to raise the next generation as best as we can.
He could probably train some of the servers I've had before. So
it is possible, but if you think about it, a brewery and I know I got off on a tangent here, but it's such a great classroom, right? With all the STEM stuff that you can do in a brewery, or any beverage alcohol. You just have to, watch your P's and Q's a little bit. So
yeah, it's amazing. Some of those places where people don't know. It's like, how do you have all the stuff around you that can teach you everything here? You should know all this stuff, and you still know the difference between this style and that style. And it's kind of like, take advantage of it if you can. So it's it's a whole bunch of learning moments. It really is, like from chemistry and biology to like math, and you get into like recipes and art and there's all kinds of stuff. Engineering, it's fun. Yeah.
It's like a playground.
One of my favorite shows to watch, I guess, like one of those guilty pleasure shows, is Bar Rescue, right? So I'm like, I watch that and I'm like, this can't be. I mean, nobody can be that naive working in a bar, but then in real life I run into people like that, like, how are you like this? Like, you don't know these things. It's just, man, it's like I'm into becoming John Taffer in a restaurant,
I know it's hard to watch sometimes. I'm not gonna lie, it's hard.
We'll go to places and not something to be wrong, my wife would be like, don't you say something. It's like, how do I not say something? Let's use this as a learning experience, right? This is a teaching moment.
It's a teaching moment. Everything is a teachable moment. Yes, exactly.
But I've done stuff.
For sure.
Some places didn't know it, and then I come back in again, they've changed stuff around. Like, they didn't know you didn't put frosted glasses with crap. Like, I come back in, now beers and glasses are out on shelves, and people prefer them. And it's like, you take advantage and you teach when you can. So it's not in a bad way or a mean way. It's just you point things out. A lot of people aren't trained, especially in a lot of those positions. So you don't know what you don't know.
What you don't know. And oh my God, Jinx. What just happened?
We should have made a drinking game.
You and I are on the same wavelength here, because I was just about to say, you don't know what you don't know. And for those that don't know me, I'm a brewery business consultant. So I actually teach sales, marketing, and distribution tactics. But part of that is that I try to influence like the sales reps and the sales teams that I work with. I'm like, please do staff trainings, please. Like, and it doesn't take anything but a little time and effort, because people like us, we know those things. Like, don't frost the glass. Like, this should go in this, and this would pair well with this, and just a little, 5 or 10 minutes of your time is well worth it. Teachable moments. Yep.
I've seen some beer tenders that have poured Guinness over here, and I'm like, oh my God, somebody in Ireland's dying right now. I mean, that's not how you pour Guinness.
That takes practice. It's good to have guidance on that. Very much so.
But to the people watching, just a quick hello to Thomas. He's actually watching from over in the UK. So is Mick T from the UK as well. And so is Steve. Steve's also over in the UK. So we got a lot of UK.
Oh, nice.
We got Donna here. Donna's got a great whiskey channel. So cheers. Good to see you as well, my friend. Let me see here. Sorry, been for a while. Oh, we've all been there, Steve. We're all running different directions for sure. Always appreciate when you're here. You got ratings. So, well, isn't Julie totally lovely? Cheers.
Oh, thank you.
I think I want one of the fewer beer channels that I do try to get more women on the channel so they can talk about stuff. So I think some of the guys do appreciate that. So
awesome.
See,
awesome.
Steve's over there. Not bad having a low ABV, LOL.
No, it is not. It is not. It's everything in moderation, right? And if it's if it's a flavor profile that you enjoy, why not? Who cares?
Yeah,
just go for it.
And then on the opposite side of that, Raining, who's watching, my friend, he's up there Northeast. He's drinking a 10% definitive triple IPA, so he's going the other level. Yeah.
I don't. I try not to practice beer, internal beer snobbery. Like beer shaming. Within our industry. I just I say it at home with my kids all the time. Everybody's different. Different strokes for different folks. Like, drink what you want to. Figure out what you like to drink and just drink it.
Enjoy and drink what you like, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And I made a mistake. Thomas is actually in Ireland. I apologize there, Thomas. He's in Ireland, over there by the UK, of course. But I know there's some Ireland, UK.
Very different.
Yeah.
Proximity. A very like different
family.
Culture.
They're in the family, but they're a different part of the family type thing.
Yeah. Exactly. Like Canadians.
In the UK, I'm drinking Bud Light. My granddad would be turning his grave, throwing his flat cap at me. So your granddad's like, what's this Bud Light thing you're talking of?
Oh my goodness. Again, if somebody, there's a time and a place for every beer on this planet. So go for it.
Yeah.
if you're in good spirits, I mean, you can only do so much. It's sometimes it's a product of your environment. If you're at like a sports, I say that now because things are happening again. Like an arena or a concert or, you got limited options sometimes, although it's getting better. I will say things look a lot more diverse flavor wise than they used to be, which is nice.
Yeah, it definitely is. And, if you go to some of the bigger sporting events, it's nice because you're seeing more venues that are bringing in more of the craft beer. So it's not just Bud or Miller or Coors at each booth you go to now. And there's like certain areas where you can get good craft beer. So that's nice that it's finally been kind of accepted under it. So
definitely. I always tell people about my mom because my mom is a late stage craft beer discovery example. So my mom's probably going to kill me if she watches this. She's in her 70s. All right. She's in her 70s and God love her. She's got that palate where she likes dark chocolate and anything like burnt toast, it's super bitter. Right. So she's a total hophead. Like you flop down like a Imperial Red or like a double IPA or something. And she's like super happy. So, but she's also a basketball fan and she lives in New Orleans. So when she goes to Pelicans games, she gets pissed when she can't find an IPA somewhere. She's like, what is this shit lager everywhere? She's like, why can't I find anything? And I'm like, Mom, just be patient. It's got to get there. We're working on it. And, another vote for staff training. She gets really frustrated when she like goes out to eat or goes to a bar or something. And she's like, why doesn't the bartender know what I want when I say a double IPA and they give me a hazy and I don't want a hazy and I want a double IPA. And I'm like, I'm sorry. She's like, Julie, why can't you do this? You're in this space. I'm like, I don't control everybody in the service industry, Mom. Like, come on, you got to give it some time. Give them some feedback. It's a learning moment. Maybe you can suggest a double IPA for them to carry. I don't know.
Well, see, that's why you gotta let her take your son now with her when she goes, so you can educate the people there. He's like, I got this, Grandma.
What's gonna happen? I know. It's just like it's gonna be chaos when my son turns 21 and he hangs out with Grandma. It's gonna be insanity.
Grandma's like, I got a driver. Woo!
I know. She's got some great breweries near her, though, in New Orleans and the surrounding areas. Louisiana's got some really great up-and-coming breweries down there. Good
I think the only ones really around Louisiana that I've had in the past, really, of course, Abita. That's like kind of the big one from around there. But there was Southern Hospitality, I think, or Magnolia Brewing. They do Southern Hospitality. I think it's Magnolia that does them.
Yeah. I've got some friends that work at NOLA Brewing, and then also, I'm gonna have a moment where I blank on the breweries that we usually hit up down there. Oh, I'm sorry, Louisiana friends. I'm sorry, I failed you today. My brain is geez, I'm gonna kick myself later, right after we get off of the live stream.
There's always a lot of things to do in Louisiana, so I mean, beer can fall by the wayside there.
I know. I do like that. I'm not gonna lie, that I can get a turbo dog in their airport. That makes flying with my kids so much better.
Yeah,
like, you can just walk around with your plastic cup in there. It's fantastic.
Yeah. First time I went to New Orleans, it was I think it was our honeymoon, so it would have been back in 93. We got married in 93. We went down a couple months after we got married, but we went to one of the malls or whatever. They had a bar in the middle of the mall, and you could like get a drink. You could walk around and shop while you had like. This isn't everywhere. Like, how do you can just walk around these places and shop? I mean, that's how they were. It's just, have fun. Go do what you want. Yeah. So just don't start eating pretty much.
It's hard for me to transition when I go there because I'm just not used to it. I'm like, I forget that I can like walk around in public with this, and it's totally cool. So it takes some getting used to. Oh, Cajun Fire. I'm sorry. I told you I was going to think of it while I wasn't thinking about it. That's when it pops back into your head. So
that's like one of those things, right? Because you're in marketing, right? And it's kind of like, and I do social media. It's like you have an idea. It's like, why do ideas pop to me? Like I'm in the shower. Like I got nothing to write down these things right now.
I know.
They hit you at different moments. You're laying in bed, looking at the ceiling, like, now I got to get up and go write this down, or grab my phone and text it in. So I'll remember in the morning.
That's usually I end up grabbing my phone and doing like a little audio note or like writing out all my little sticky notes in there. Yeah, I have stuff everywhere. Yep. I know
marketing is a part of you. It's just it happens. So
yes, very much so.
And Tom, the same way. Don't discriminate on ABV as well. So it's funny. I got a video that I'll be sharing later tonight once I put it up. But Sunday went out to do some beer shopping. I don't even need any beer. I mean, I got so many beers here, but it's like in the craft beer world, if you don't go at certain times, you don't find out what's out there. And again, it's you don't know what you don't know, right? So it's kind of if I don't go, I won't know what's out there. And I'm going to be sending some to one of my friends up in Chicago. So I had to go pick up some beers anyway. Figured I'd just get a few beers or something like that. Well, many people that watch the channel know it's like the Rod J deals, or like we call it now. So I get deals at different places I go to that I find. And so I'm leaving one store to go to another. And I'm like, well, let me swing by. I feel like they might have something going on there. So I go in and they've got 12 packs or a case. 12 packs, $6.99, or you get a case for $12.99. And it was Blinding Kugels. It was one of my low ABV. It was like their low session ale. And I'm like, well, that's not bad because I've just started to work out some more again. So I'm like, I get something like that. And everything's like less than 100 calories, 3 carbs worth of that and everything. And, as a beer person that buys beer, the next thing we usually do is check the date on stuff. And I'm thinking, well, this has to be old. No, it's just May of this year. They just got to get it moved out. And then it had another one that was an IPA, same thing. So I ended up getting like a case of beer for $12.99. And they're all in good shape. And I was like,
as long as they're in good shape, that's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it just happens that way. I hate to get in sales. I didn't mean to cut you off. But in mid-sentence. Sometimes it literally just happens that way. And there's times where I want to like scream at consumers like, it's okay. You can buy this. There's nothing wrong with it. Like either something happened, like they like somebody flubbed the order and they might have gotten like double, what they meant to order, and they're just like, we'll just mark it down and like go through it, But yes, check the code dates. That's the first step. And then you should be okay.
which I think everybody should just have dates, and some people put codes still. Codes are a lot less now than what they used to be, because I'm like, nobody's gonna, the average consumer's not gonna know how to check a code and all that kind of stuff. But putting a date on, there's still some that don't even put an ABV on a can, which I'm still not happy about there. And like, why are you letting people put stuff out without even putting ABV on stuff? Which I'm sure
that scares me.
You've seen there as well. Yeah. I mean, so people know what they can buy. Now, if you're into beer, like say we're into beer, other people that are into beer, we know the style, we kind of know where the ABV should be, but it should be on there for people to actually know. I feel like that's important. I would say it's more important probably. That's the one thing more important than probably the date. Just to know what the ABV is going to be as well. But then that date is right there too. But
for sure.
Yeah. But there's some stories.
Oh, I was just going to say, I would love for us to go the way of the Europeans, which have the nutritional information and the ingredients and all that kind of stuff. That would be, it's expensive. We got to get it done. It'll probably happen, maybe 5 years from 5, 6, 7 years from now, but it would be nice to have on the packaging.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice to have. I don't know if we'll ever get it done here in the state, just because they've been fighting that battle forever just on food.
It's been a while. Yeah.
Even on the food part, they can't get all that stuff on there.
Yeah. Although, if you're drinking, what is it, gluten-free beer, it has on it because it's considered like a food instead of alcohol product. And then cider is the same way. And, there's stuff that's kind of in between that that has this stuff on there, which is helpful. And especially, if you are like celiac or something, that's pretty important.
I think so. Yeah, I agree.
Exactly what's in the thing you're drinking to make sure that you don't make yourself sick.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's kind of important. Yes.
But speaking of drinking, I didn't mention what I was drinking here. So I'm actually drinking the Kabasi King. So I've been fortunate enough. Let's probably just blow this up here, use my other hand, see if I become ambidextrous yet. There we go. So this is Hop Butcher out of Chicago, the Kabasi King, as you can see there. This one is their double IPA, Mosaic and Nelson Sauvin hopped Dippa. And it's kind of neat on the backside. They put a hop cone with details. So they kind of give you an idea of what to kind of expect with the beer.
Nice.
Let me switch it this way so it'll zoom in on it. If it wants to zoom in on it, it will.
If it wants to. I get it, just in case it doesn't. I get the gist of what you're saying. That is kind of nice. That's nice to at least know kind of what you're dealing with.
Yeah, so like on this one, it'll say like berry medley, dank greens, and crisp white grapes is what they put for it. But honestly, it's more like just a freaking alcoholic orange juice is what I'm getting out of it. I mean... Hop Butcher they do such good beers out of that area, so I'm looking forward to it.
I've had just a couple that I've gotten from friends, but this is the part of the show where your viewers like take their shoes off and throw it at the computer screen at me or the mobile device because I got very burned out on Hazies. A couple of years ago, my husband used to brew at a local brewery here in Denver that specialized in hazy and juicy IPAs. So he would bring home like low fills and samples and all that kind of stuff. And I think I just burned my palate out like on.
Oh, yeah.
And I also am like the only person on the planet that doesn't like Mosaic hops. I'm sorry.
Really?
I'm sorry, everyone.
Everybody's palate goes a certain way. So,
walk of shame.
Yeah.
I get so much shit about that all the time. And I'm like, well, I just don't like, it's just not my thing. Like I'm kind of a Simcoe girl, like I just go more, grapefruity than so I'm sorry, Rod. I don't mean to make anybody angry. I hope you don't lose viewers for me saying that.
She's like Mosaic. She's out of here. She's out of here.
I'm out of here. Out of here. That's usually what happens. Get out of here with that.
Bring the Centennial girl. Bring her.
I know. Like, I'm sorry. I do like hoppy beers every now and then. But yeah, I'm more of like a. I do like Centennial. I just don't prefer Mosaic. I just don't. And there's some other things I like as well. I don't know. It varies. I like to see where flavor profiles go, especially now that hops are all over the place now. Like we've got like a global influence. You've got like hybrid varieties and like, I don't know. It's neat.
Yeah.
It's fun to see how people play with beer now. It's cool. Yeah.
And then you got BC's, and how BC actually does a beer channel up there in Michigan as well. So great to see you, my friend. I think you won Rainin' Over. Rainan's never been this complimentary to anything. He's like, Julie's one cool mom. Where was she when I grew up? Now, Rainin, she is married, so let me tell you.
I am, and it probably helps that my husband, we met working together in the industry, and now he's on the packaging side of things, but he's done everything from delivery to cellarman and lead brewer, head brewer, packaging, managing, all, he's done the gamut of everything. So distribution, he's done sales, he's done all kinds of stuff. So we're a pretty beer friendly family. Our kids are pretty much used to it.
Kids are gonna love it. I can't imagine, the 9-year-old, 7 years, 16, when he's 18, like just telling his stories to his friends. Oh yeah, just like, can we just go hang at your house with your mom and dad?
That's almost what I'm afraid of. Like, wait till they get to double digits as teenagers. I'm really gonna have to put stuff in like lockdown, because right now, you ask my kids, like if you would get them, like if they were in here, you could say, when's Oktoberfest? And they would be like, September, and they're totally, they're used to it. Like they're totally acclimated to like beer holidays, and, they have like coasters and stuff shoved under their car seats, like growing up, because I was out in the field doing sales. They had to like sit on glassware, and sometimes I had kegs in my car.
They're going to the class with on their backpack and everything.
We do have to watch that sometimes, because I have promo items that they'll like put, I have merchandise and stuff, and there's like hats and t-shirts and things like that. I'm also going to call out breweries right now for making ridiculously small women's shirts that fit my children, and then my children want to wear them, and then I get in trouble for the kids having alcohol related shirts. So please stop making tiny shirts.
Yeah. But the other parents are like, and who's for mommy again, so we can meet?
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Although I am one of the most popular ones when it comes time for like school fundraisers.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
And you could do like a big basket of like cool like beer swag stuff, and they're like, hit up Julie for the PTO fundraiser. I'm like, okay.
It's like the beer stuff is fine now. Okay, I see how it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody discriminates when you're raising money for the kids, man. They don't mind at all.
Yeah.
Oh, we got off on such a tangent. I'm sorry. I ended up talking about parenting and beer.
That's all. Tangents live here, so I mean, it just happens.
Good.
You always say something after your surgery to make sure you're probably the call back. I mean, well, it's like, I've said stuff like, if it's like something like just a beer at a bar, it's easy to say something at that point. But there are some things I let go too. So, there's places I'll go to, and you're supposed to serve like certain things in certain glassware, for instance. Like a lot of times, double IPA, you'll get like in a 10-ounce snifter or 12-ounce snifter. I've had places give it to me in a 25-ounce mug. I'm not going to complain about that. I'm just going to let it roll right off the back, because I can handle a 25-ounce double IPA.
You're braver than me. I would probably hang on to it just out of courtesy to like be polite, but I definitely wouldn't finish it. There's no way. No way.
It gets finished. If it's in the glass, unless it's a shandy, I'm finishing everything pretty much.
Oh man. Oh,
Shandy's my kryptonite. So yeah.
Shandies are great. Shandies are fantastic.
It's just my kryptonite. That's the only thing I've ever had poured out at a bar before. Like, because I wanted the Leinenkugel class. I had to get it with the summer shandy in. I tried to get it with a different beer in it. They couldn't do it because of how they were set up, and they couldn't just give me the glass. So drank about a quarter. I said, okay, I'm done. Pour it out. She's like, really? Like, yeah, I just wanted the glass anyway. So no big deal.
I just wanted the glass. I actually see, again, this is a product of my environment from spending so much time in Europe, and actually I'm a big fan of Radlers.
I like Radlers. I like Radlers.
Yeah. I probably drink more Radlers than I do Shandies. I will say that. I don't mind a Shandy. I don't despise it like I do Mosaic, but it's
We all got issues. We all got issues. So yeah.
I know, but I do like a Rattler, and I like the concept behind it. Like, hey, it's cool. Have a beer, jump on your bike. You're gonna be okay. Like, and the cool part over there is that you can, a lot of places you get like a hand mixed Rattler, which is really nice. Like that somebody takes the care to actually like mix it right in front of you, and there's some cool flavors and things like that. So that's kind of fun. Yeah. It's like going to it's like Top Chef for beer. Different places over there.
Why don't we have a top beer? Why don't we have a top brewmaster or something show? Something like that. It should be.
That would be very cool, although very lengthy of production, I would imagine. But it would be neat.
I've always said if somebody wants to hire me to be like the guy of the beer world, just travel and visit different places and talk beer and taste the beer, I'm up for that job. I'm up for it. So many producers or TV directors I think are watching.
I was about to say, where's like Discovery Channel? Is there anybody tapped into this that's on the feed that could make a call?
Somebody give me an agent on the phone,
services now. I know. Someone calls it a friend of a friend of a friend. Like, we got to get this production going.
Well, you talked about like beer shows. Like, you had the one years ago, I don't know if they still do it or not, but it used to be, I could only see it when I was in New Jersey or in the Northeast because it was like on the Essence Network, which is a big network up there. Not Essence, Esquire, I think.
Esquire,
but
okay.
It had the Brewdog guys. That was
the Brewdog guys. Yeah.
So they had this, and that was on that network. And then they have like Burgers of Barbecue and Brews or something that's now occasionally on the Food Network with one of the guys that does it. He's a chef. And he goes to breweries, but it's all about the food more than the beer that he ever talk about.
Yeah.
And outside of that, it's just like little shows that they'll put something on Netflix or something on Prime. It'll be a little thing about some type of beer documentary. But it's like not a show that just kind of, with it being so big. And I did find out next year that PlayStation is releasing a new video game about craft beer, and like you run your own brewery simulation type stuff.
Really?
And I'm thinking why did this take like so long for somebody to realize? Because they got all kinds of other simulator games, but this will be the first one for craft beer simulation. So you'll run your own brewery. You'll make up the amounts that people have to order at your breweries and keep up with production and all kinds of stuff. So kind of like they did with like Sim People and farming simulators and airplane simulators. I have one for craft beer. Yeah. So that'll be kind of a cool thing to check out.
They better have more than the white guy with a beard sim character in that thing. There's going to be an outrage. I'll tell you that much right now. Somebody better jump on that inclusion department on the simulator game and stats.
I'm sure that's being taken into account.
Okay, I hope so. I would hope so. That's directly where my brain goes. You can tell where my mindset is right now. Yeah.
Which we'll get into a couple of those topics here in a second too. So shout outs. You got Jimmy and Coffin stuff. Jimmy does a great barbecue channel. He does a lot of cooking and stuff, but he loves his beers as well too. So
I'm a barbecue girl.
If you ever want to see somebody grill and do some stuff, get some recipes, you check out his YouTube channel. I mean, you're salivating when you make some of this stuff. We got Simo in the house also. Good to see you, my friend, too. Raina says, I agree with Julie. Beer education should be taught in the schools. There's always time to get your beer on. That's what I always say. There's always time to get your beer on. So Raina likes to dish it out when he can at certain spots. Yeah. But yeah, some of the universities now, Cincinnati State here, they have a beer course that you can take to go into brewing.
Sure.
So there's different schools that are getting more involved in being able to do that. But if you run a business, if you're running a bar, if you're running a brewery, some of them do lack the training of their people being trained on how to even serve up or talk about things. And I think that's something where there's an opportunity, and like what you probably do, you probably help a lot of these spots realize that as well, as far as here's an opportunity where you're missing that people can't tell the difference between certain type of styles or know what maybe to recommend. If someone says, well, I usually prefer this type of thing, how can I match to my palate? Like my wife, when we go out, I know her palate now well enough. I can go anywhere and put beer off a menu, and she'll be happy with it. Like they ask her what she wants to drink, and she just looks at me and it's like, go ahead and get her this one or that one, based on what they have there. Some people do have it. I mean, some of our servers do have that skill, but a lot of times they're not sure, it seems.
Yeah, it's I always tell people, if you're in the hospitality industry, you have so much stuff at your fingertips. You just have to ask. So most likely, well, if you're in the US, it's different overseas, but if you're in the US, you're getting your alcohol from a distributor or directly from a supplier, right? And I'll tell you right now, with as competitive as our industry is, the distributors and suppliers will jump over each other to get a chance at educating your staff. So literally all you have to do is ask, and they will do it for free. So your brewery partners that you work with, like the local ones, tell the sales rep, like, hey, come in and talk to my staff about like glassware or your newest release, or, you know, let's do some like beer school, like flight school, you know, let's do a tasting like with your whole portfolio, or especially your distributor. So if you have a distributor rep that comes in and gets your order, you know, weekly basis or a couple times a week or whatever, they love doing that kind of stuff. So you know, just say like, hey, we have a lot of your beers that we're bringing in from your distributor portfolio. Can you send somebody out to talk to us? We want to make sure we're serving it right. We want to make sure we're giving people the right information, that we're talking to them about ingredients and how to drink it, and, you know, what it pairs up with and all that kind of stuff. I guarantee you they will jump at the chance to do it. That's something that I teach all the time. I actually teach it in reverse, because I work with sales reps and distributors, and then I'm influencing them to basically say, you know, go out and train these staffs, get to, you know, front of the house, back of the house. You know, I'm also one of those people though that I say, like, you know, you never know who you're talking to. Don't ever take a conversation for granted. I don't care if you're talking to the kitchen guy. Talk to the kitchen guy about the beer. Who, you know, you never know who you're talking to. And again, it's kind of like with you know, preluding to talking about difficulties that we're having in the craft beer space right now. The key to all of this is education. Education is never a bad thing. Never a bad thing.
Well, you have the education, right? You have the education side, but I mean, I guess we can kind of make a turn and say Disco and Rasco's and Disco and Rasco. I'm not sure if it's Disco or Rasco, because Disco and Rasco are two different people, but cheers. Tell me which one's actually watching.
It could be either one.
And then Dicky's watching from Vegas as well, so good to see him there as well. And we got JV in the house, who's also my buddies there in Arkansas. Great channel, great entertainment over there. Great guitar player. If you want to see some guitar playing, check out his channel as well. Does some great stuff there. But you have the education, but then if you're talking about that, you have to talk about the acceptance, right? And what I mean by the acceptance is I've been in spots where I've seen, and I've also been told by women in the beer industry, kind of like some of the breweries, and it's just like somebody will come up, usually a guy, and they'll say something about a beer or whatever, and the woman says, well, you should try this one because this has blah, blah, blah about it, right? So it's the characteristics on it. Well, that sounds interesting. Did you ask the guy what he's like? And the guy's like the same thing she would have said, basically. And something you have to be willing to say, like, I don't know. It doesn't happen maybe as much now as it did last few years, but it's kind of like I have friends that work in the industry that I'll talk to from brewing and stuff. And it's kind of like, that's like one of their big pet peeves, like when guys do that there. So I don't know if you've seen a lot of that or you've heard those type of things as well, but it's kind of it's just like they'll do it like right in front of her, like she's not even standing there. Like it's not even like they'll go until wait till she goes do something else. She'll be standing there, they'll turn to the other guy, like you just blew off what she just totally told you.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I've been in this industry, specifically in beer, for about 13 years. And then I was service industry before that. I've been in hospitality since I was 15. So I got into the industry before I could even drive, and I haven't left, you know, and I'm well into my 40s. So, you know, it's something, if I had $1 for every time I had a situation like that, I would not be running my own company. I would be kicked back in the mountains, retired somewhere, because it's just, you know, it's hard. It's hard. And it not to go completely like meta, you know, conceptual, all this kind of stuff, but it relates to what we're talking about. And that is, there's you know, about, I think it's like 20% of the beer industry is women, and 80% is men. So here's the thing, just looking at it scientifically, like sociology wise, that's a huge power differential, right? Like a huge power differential. And when you have that, that causes problems. That's like the simple way of putting it. Like, despite all the stuff that I've like studied and read and everything, that's the simplest way to put it, is when you have one group that has way more influence and way more power over another group. And I know that I don't have to tell you this, Rod, because Black ownership of breweries is 1% right now, which is ridiculous. Right. When you have that dynamic, it causes major problems. And there are going to be communities on the margin, on the outskirts, right? The marginalized communities that suffer from, you know, assumptions, harassment, discrimination, possibly violence, abuse, you know, all these different things. And it sucks to talk about it, but we have to talk about it. That's the only way we're going to
fix it. Yeah.
To fix it. And I'm hesitant in using the word fixing it, because we still haven't fixed a million things on our planet that have to do with this, you know, everywhere. But we can help it, you know, and we can try to change it. We can try to generate change for good, you know, and a step in the right direction. So just being aware, I think awareness is the first step. And I use men and women as like the first example, just because it's very, it's what's in the news right now. But please know, when I say, you know, I say this to you and I say this to all of your listeners, if I say men and women, I'm referring to anybody who identifies as male or anybody who identifies as female, and then also acknowledging that there are a ton of intersections. Oh, yeah. You know, Black, brown, Asian, Pacific, indigenous, you know, trans, non-binary. Like there's so many intersections that deal with all these different problems that are surfacing. And, you know, not to blame Mark Zuckerberg for all of this, but social media, you know, everything's public now. People share everything. Like it's more visual than it used to be before social media was kind of a normal thing. Like like YouTube, what we're on right now, right? So it's good and bad. It's great for awareness and education and visibility and having more and more conversations, which is awesome. But there's also a lot of like anonymity and, you know, behind a keyboard and stuff like that, which kind of sucks. Yeah. So
like,
there's a lot of facets to this.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to just say, like anything, right? There's a responsibility side of it, but there's also the side that can be corrupted about anything that we kind of build there. So, you know, it's something that has a lot of great aspects to it, but at the same point, there are going to be people that are going to use it for other type of ways that are going to possibly hurt people too. I don't know. It's like we're always our biggest. What I want to say. Like, we're always our worst enemy. Like, humans as a total, like, we have a lot of good, we have a lot of things that go bad. It's just like nothing can ever build something and tear something down as strong as what humans can do, basically. Yeah.
And you know, I've had to catch myself saying this a lot over the past year. I'm gonna hope that people act with the best intentions first. Yeah. And then we'll go from there. Like, I'm just gonna hope that that is, you know, that you have good intentions from the, I'm not an optimist by any means. Trust me. I'm way too like logical in my thinking. Like, I love science and everything. Like, I can't, you know, I'm not like a super optimist, but I do think that somewhere inside of everybody, there's like you know, good intentions. Right. And then when you prove otherwise, then we'll handle it differently. But let's start from a good place. You know, Yeah.
We've had discussions on the channel before about, you know, if people were born good or born bad. It's like, for me, I don't think it's being born good or bad. You're just born into whatever your situation is, and you're born to adapt to it. So in a way, you kind of become that person through how you come into the world and how you see things and visualize how things impact you. Now, that doesn't mean that's going to control you your whole lifetime either, because, there's people that went to great spots from bad conditions and people from good spots that went to bad conditions, right? So it's kind of vice versa. But at the same point, it's kind of, when you're molded about how everything kind of starts from inside of you. Like I used to, in college one year, we used to go out and sell books in the summertime across the country. And during the training of it, it would talk about, by the time you're 4, you've already figured out like 60 to 70% of how you're going to look at the world. And by the time you're like 5, it's like 80%. And that's why preschool care is such a big thing for a lot of people, because you start to develop how your cognitive skills will work. Now, you'll add other things into it as you become older, education-wise, but your process of how you determine things are determined very early on. And so it's kind of like you got to be in that position to be open to it. I mean, that's, for me, of growing up, I mean, I was fortunate, it was a single mother situation, but I was able to do different things. I spent times in the library doing stuff. I read, I listened to music. I have a big music appreciation because of all the music I listened to when I was younger and stuff. But you have to be open up to how you do that. So you just don't say whatever someone says is just automatically off the bat to be the Bible, so to speak. That logic is what plays into my head as well. So if this person says this, then I need to find out what's over here as well to see if there's any type of reaction to what they're actually saying. And you learn that early on, how you determine what may be true, may be valid.
For sure. No, 100%. And
got a little deeper than I thought on a beer show, but
I know. I'm pushing the places that we didn't realize we were going into. That's a good thing. No, I think, and that is an excellent segue for kind of what was going through my head. And that is, it doesn't cost a lot of money to make change or to introduce a different idea or something that's different or something that goes against the majority. Like it really, you can do it with visibility, So like on your social media, what kind of people are you showing in your tap room? Yeah. What do those people look like? Like, what do they really look like? Like, where are you putting your job applications? Like, what exposure are you bringing your brand to? Like, are you even, thinking about all the different kinds of people out there that drink and enjoy beer? And are you being representative of that? Because what people see plays into their modeling. Right? Of what they think is like, oh, I saw that, right? And I saw somebody like in the media that looks like me. I saw somebody in a movie that looks like me. Like, oh, my favorite brewery. I saw their Facebook feed and there's somebody that looks like me on there. And I think it plays into the whole aspect of just, inclusion in the beer space. And then also with everything that's going on, like with sexual harassment, discrimination, and violence and things like that, like, are we modeling to people that that's not okay? And how can we model to people of like, no, back rubs, probably not okay. Like we need one of those like restroom posters that's very simple that has like
employees must wash hands, employees must wash hands,
shoulders, and like no, not okay. Somebody needs to come up with a poster for that just has different situations so that we can say like, again, you don't know what you don't know. There are some people that don't realize that's not okay, or it might not be okay, or maybe I need to ask before I do something like that. Or I think there's a lot of assumptions being made, so we need to, again, have more conversations about this and talk about certain situations or examples of something that's okay, but not okay, and how to troubleshoot or triage certain situations, of how do you handle it when you see it? What do you do next? What are the steps? What are some, ways that you can troubleshoot stuff? And then also, how do we take it? Because business is my thing, right? So I'm always I'm always thinking in like business lane. Why is this important to my business? Why should I care about this? Why should I take the time and effort? And why should I put some investment behind equity and inclusion and making sure. I can tell you right now, the short form is you're going to be more profitable, because I could cite
Well,
like a
yeah,
million
there's a lot of
studies,
opportunities you're missing. Yeah.
yeah. And any, you can Google any article about this, and any business that practices inclusivity and equity are more profitable than those
Yeah.
people that ignore it. So
Yeah.
that's the long and the short of it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think you're 100% right, because a lot of stuff you get from your environment. So how can we put it out into the environment of what we like should be doing, you know,
Right.
and how we can handle things so that people can pick up on it and see it and learn it and adapt it and make it the norm instead of the latter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think
there's
that's
my
that.
soapbox.
Just one of the soapboxes, right? Just one of them. But and I think we'll see more of that stuff happening. I think that, and again, it's, I always bring this up when we have these conversations, when I have them with people. It's not just the craft beer industry, right? So this is a microcosm of a lot of industries face this thing. I mean, in my main field, when I work during the day, it's in the financial field. Our corporation, they have a whole diversity and inclusion type thing. They wanted people to sign on and want to go through and kind of make that goal to try to be a better company and stuff. But at the same point, it's kind of like you ask people to sign on this thing, but I would say about 90% of people don't even understand what they're really signing, because it's kind of like they're doing it because you're asking them to do it, but what does it really mean to be diversified and inclusion? Because they're different things. And so it's kind of like, are you still opportunities that are being seen where people can actually relate to these type of things? What are you actually doing by putting this out there? But it's a step forward to try to say, well, we're trying to acknowledge this right now, right? And then hopefully their goal is, from the employee standpoint, that people will have the input to help it grow to be a bigger, stronger type company by doing those type of things. So
Yeah.
I think in the beer world, that's kind of where we're at there. As we talk about the different situations, obviously Raina said, the angels are demons in disguise. Yeah. sometimes. And social media definitely changed things, some for good and some for bad, for sure. You look at these situations. So modern times, the CEO steps down based on the stuff that happened there, which was huge because, again, craft beer world, modern times, they're well known as being one of the the top craft breweries, right? As far as what people experience and how they talk about them and things along those lines. Tired hands now finds themselves in that boat as well. So I don't know if they're going to if he's going to step down or what, but I know he had to step back from things, and they kind of been discussing things along those lines. We had Boulevard that I actually spoke to one of the employees that have been caught up in that as well, where they actually, the employees, which was one of the biggest things I saw, the employees pretty much shut it down, and they took a stand together, and they forced out the bad management, which was awesome on their part. We're still in the midst kind of this Brewdog thing that happened out of Indianapolis, and find out what they're got going on.
Yeah.
We had Platform where the Columbus shop they shut it down by all of them walking off the same day, and that led to Platform having to close in their Columbus, their Cincinnati, their Indianapolis, and everything like that, so they can try to get things in order. Just all these different stories that are happening. That's just a few. There's other ones that are out there as well, but those are just the ones that run right off the top of the head. And now we got other breweries coming out with their statements saying, we're totally against blah, blah, blah. We don't do this at our brewery. This isn't how it all works. And so now you got breweries playing defense out there as well. Brienne, who I talk to once in a while, Rat Magnet, as you know, she's getting a lot of the stuff coming in her way, and she's had to deal with a lot of different things. We just had I can't remember her name on Twitter. It's British Beer. I can't remember the full name. I'll have to see if I can look it up here in a second. But she had to start taking stuff. She had to start taking stuff down because she's being threatened with lawsuits and stuff over things as well, right? So it's kind of crazy the different things happening, and to kind of get your perspective on all that you're seeing, all that you're dealing with, I'm kind of curious on what your thoughts are.
Yeah. It's
I know there's a lot I just threw out there, by the way. So
no. It's okay. This has been my universe for the past like 3 weeks, basically, honestly. I'll tell you what, first of all, it's hard for people that have experienced trauma like this themselves. And I'm speaking about myself right now. I have read about half of Brienne's Instagram stories, and I got to a point where I had to stop.
Yeah.
And it's not because I don't want to hear those stories, is because it is reopening some very deep wounds that I have had to deal with personally, in mental health and work with therapy and things like that, personal development, stuff like that. It's hard. It's very heavy and it's very hard. I also want to put a little disclaimer next to that statement, and that is, I am sorry to every BIPOC member of our community that it took a white woman's Instagram for us to pay attention, to be honest with you, because I am speaking from the standpoint of being a white cisgender heteronormative female, right? I don't have a ton of intersections. I can acknowledge them, but I can't speak directly from some standpoints. So I have to take it from my own. So I don't mean to make like generalizations. Please know that when I talk about this kind of stuff, that I'm speaking more than just in my own privilege here. So it's but this is also, it's also a good thing because now we're talking about it. Whereas the past 13 years that I've been in this space, you just didn't talk about it. Right. It was, oh, this is how it is. It's a good old boys club. You're not cool if you're going to whine about it. Either suck it up, listen to the locker room talk, or you're just going to go against the grain and cause problems. I've been asked to leave sales meetings because they thought it was my time of the month.
What?
Which sucks. Oh yeah. Try having kids in this industry. Do you know how many jokes I got about, like, Rod, I know you let me say expletives and all kinds of stuff on this show. So I'm not going to like sugarcoat anything. I'd have people make comments about how long I was going to breastfeed my kids, asking me about nursing, asking me what bra size I went up to when I was pregnant, people touching me inappropriately when I was pregnant. Before that, when I was in the service industry, it was just like, I would do some of my brewery promotions and stuff. People thinking that they could like actually like try to kiss me like during my I'm like, I just gave you a sample of beer. That doesn't mean shit. Like, back the F up, like just it's and stuff like that is common. I get followed in my car when I'm traveling for work. I get followed. I would slip notes to the hotel that I stayed at. Like, I'm here for work. I'm traveling by myself. Do not give anyone a key to my room unless it's me. Like, do not accept anything from anyone. And I also got told by one of my old managers that if I didn't feel comfortable traveling by myself doing sales, that I needed to rethink my position with that company because I was female. And that's just a microcosm. Like, that's just me. So you can imagine, like, multiply that by like all, everyone in the space. So it's it's rough. And I had to get to a point where I said, okay, I can't read anymore because I can't rip this stuff open. It's causing stress. It's affecting my mental health. I can't take care of my family, all that kind of stuff. Right. So I'm the type of person that I go through those very distinctive, like, I forgot the lady's name that wrote that book about the stages of grief, where like at first you're in like disbelief and then you're like really sad and then you're angry and also, you have acceptance and then you activate. That's where I'm at right now. I went through all those stages, like that very like first week and a half, but I'll tell you what, when I was done, I'm in activated mode right now. And I say we as in like me and lots of my colleagues and the organizations that I'm associated with are trying our damnedest to get education out there, to get resources out there, to get training in the hands of people, I say this with some hesitancy, that can't afford an HR person or an HR department. That being said, just because you have HR doesn't mean you're done with this. Look at all the huge companies that that have CEOs stepping down. Your HR department is not a failsafe. That does not protect you at all, right? You've got to know when to recognize when it's happening. You got to know how to triage the situation. You got to know what resources and what choices you have. And you've got to be able to teach that to other people in your company and raise up a company culture of like a safer environment for everybody there, because no one deserves to feel unsafe at work. No one, no matter what department they're in. Yeah. That's my second soapbox. There you go.
Well, no,
that was long. You threw a bunch of stuff at me, and I'm going back to that. But that's basically what we're trying to do at this point, and is just make it known that there are nonprofit organizations out there that will come and talk to your team for not that much money, not like under $1,000, right? Yeah. There's third-party reporting tools out there that will cost your company about $20 a month.
Yeah.
And that's
not even that. You got materials on the internet that a lot of people put out on stuff that companies can just pull off the line and use for training type situations.
Yeah.
It's you look at it, and for me, it's like I said, it's kind of like me being in a restaurant like John Taff or Bar Rescue, some of that stuff. Same thing. My background, I've been in business. First time I got in the financial industry back in '93. So I've been around the industry and business from headquarters to out in the field doing different things and stuff. And, looking at it from a business perspective, it's just like there's ways you build your business. There's things that you do. There's things you should know. Like, how do you allow some of this to actually happen? Well, again, we go back to you don't know what you don't know, I guess. But I've said for a number of years, it's almost like it's still the frat mentality on a lot of different things. And I think that's starting to really catch up a lot more now, where it's kind of just the things that are being said, the things that are being done is finally to a point where people are like, no, that's not okay to do that. And, I was talking to someone earlier this week. There's a situation I was involved in. It's kind of like we as even men to say, like, not that it has to be just men, but when you're in there and you're seeing that and you see another guy do these type of things, then we have to step in and say, no, that's not cool, dude. And a lot of times guys won't step in and say anything, or let it is, there's a thing there, but it's like, if that was your sister, if that was your daughter, if that was your mom, if that was any female in your family, I bet you would be hesitant to think it was wrong for someone as well. And we spend more time in work environments we do with our families. And at some point, a lot of people, some of those work people become your family, right? Because you're doing so much with them. A lot of people become close after working together for periods of time. There's a thing that we have to also have there as well when we see something happen out of line, or we see something like, no, that's, you don't do that here. You take that somewhere else. And I think back to when I was in college, when we were catered, there was one of the guys that was one of the supervisors, and he made women feel uncomfortable and stuff. And I really didn't realize it because, we're just thinking college kids and you joke around and you do stuff. And I talked to some of the female employees that we had there, and they would tell me why they felt uncomfortable. It's like, it's a thing where you do this, but there's a thing that he does stuff where, you say stop, he doesn't stop, or it gets worse. It's like, and I told him the size that you can't be doing that stuff here. Someone has to always be there to kind of step in. And it's not like a woman needs someone to step in for them, but if we see it, we also have a part to acknowledge it at points as well. And I think that's where a lot of times we can get better in that kind of environment too.
100%. Yes. Yeah. It's kind of like 9/11 back in the day. Like, if you see something, say something.
Right.
That was the saying that we got used to, telling people back then. Like, if you see something, say something. Like, it is not the responsibility of the victim to educate the oppressor.
Yeah.
It's not. Now, a lot of the times that's not always the case, unfortunately, because that's kind of what we have going on. But it's not the victim's responsibility to be like, hey, this is wrong. But at the same time, calling it out is a good first step. And then, like you said, the more, just in the example of men and women, the more men that can jump on board and say, hey, dude, like, that's not okay. That's not cool. Like, that's not accepted here. That doesn't fly here. And so I think the more people that will step up and do that, the better. Here's another thing, and I will tell you this right now, because I'm pretty transparent about a lot of things in my life. That my husband's in the industry, right? There's been incidents in the past where he used language that wasn't super nice. Did we deal with that together? Yes. Am I responsible for his actions? Hell no. Don't blame me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've seen that. I'm just saying that because I've seen it a lot lately, especially playing out on social media where women are chiming in and saying, well, why didn't his wife say something? Or why didn't the girlfriend say something? Or why didn't the female partner in the company say something? They're not responsible for that person's actions. Just so you know, like, please stop being so hateful towards the wife or the girlfriend or the partner or what, whatever that person's role is, right? Just because know that, you're not guilty by association. Right? They aren't responsible for their action. So you've got a lot of like fallacious arguments out here going around, like circulating in horror. I try not to read comment sections now because I'm just like, the comment section, and it inevitably says like, well, what did their wife say about that? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it's not their responsibility. Leave her alone. Leave her alone.
You gotta love how focus shifts in comment. Like people are always trying to shift. Like,
exactly. So just think about the dynamic before you're quick, with the keyboard, right? Like think about this.
It's like the old saying. It's better to let people think you're ignorant than you proving it to them.
Exactly. So, and I think I also there's a really great article by one of my favorite writers. I don't know if anybody knows about her besides me, but Katie Anthony is one of my favorite, like, just creative writers. And she writes about feminism and family and all these different things. And she has a wonderful article that came out years ago about how to properly apologize to somebody. And I think thousands of breweries could take a note from her blog post. And you can contribute to her Patreon page, by the way, for getting that education. You can pay her for what she does, just as a side note. And it's basically, and I'm going to butcher all the points in here, but please check her out because she's wonderful. The way that breweries are apologizing at this point, I'm just like, every time I see one, I'm like, oh no. There's a few that are great and well done and heartfelt. And it's like, okay, this feels authentic. And then there's other ones where I'm just like, oh my gosh, why are they still talking about themselves? Like, why are they still making it about themselves?
Of the apology letters that we see, I'm going to call it. I'm going to say 95% of them are done by a PR agency.
Oh, that hurts when you read
them, these are like typical PR type statements. The same things written from breweries or the same things that people write for some of the politicians that screw up, that other people that mess up. And it's just like, there's like no heart. And it comes back to them as well. Like, it's never about you. It's about what you did to this other person. And it shouldn't be a focus back on you. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's as simple as saying, I'm sorry that I did XYZ. Yeah. I'm sorry that it caused you this pain, trauma, stress, so on and so forth. Do not talk about your intentions. It's not about you.
If they just wrote, hey, we effed up. We're sorry. We're going to try to make sure it never happens again. Please keep us in check that we do sincerely. And that'd be better off than a lot of stuff they're writing.
It's not that hard. Like, speak from your gut. It doesn't have to be like journalism, like old English style, paragraphs and stuff like that. You can literally say, I have 3 employees that said I treated them like shit, and I am freaking sorry. And I am going to educate myself about how to do things better. And I am really I am sorry for making them feel bad or uncomfortable in any way. And these are the action steps that I'm taking to fix this problem.
Right.
And then it comes from a place of authenticity. And, one of my friends that is like a trauma therapist, she said oh gosh, what is it? I actually have it written like on a piece of paper on my desk right now. When you do blank, it makes me feel this way. So I need blank.
Yeah.
Like literally, let's start using statements like that. Hey, Joe Sixpack, when you do the shoulder rubs, that makes me feel super creeped out and really uncomfortable. So I need for you to stop touching me on the job, so that we can work together in a better environment, and it's like, again, it's not on the shoulders of the victim to do that, but it can help, and it can make people see things that they might not have seen before, or they might not have recognized as like an issue or something big, So I just thought I would throw that in there just as like a communication piece.
No, it's a good piece there, because some people will see it just as, well, nobody else ever said anything. And I've heard that said by, guys out too. It's like, nobody else probably had the courage to say anything either. They're probably, it's hard for, I won't say, it's hard to, a lot of these cases happen where they're women, but there's been guys that have been attacked. I mean, I know instances where guys have been harassed and stuff, and it wasn't in the beer, it was actually in other industries, and they've actually kind of went to management about stuff, and it's kind of like, well, they came down to, well, it wasn't really an event at work kind of thing, but it was basically something that happened afterward, and it's kind of like, kind of a shitty type answer on that type of thing. So it's not the majority of it are definitely women, but there are also some guys that I got there and get stuff. I remember when they had the big thing about the celebrity, when Terry Crews came out about how he said he was assaulted and stuff by some of the guys in Hollywood on different things, and how hard it was for him to even say something along those lines, just because, people see him as this dominant, muscular type guy like that. But he felt, when somebody does it, that's like a producer, executive producer tries to assault you in some type of way, and it's like, you say something, you don't get any more paycheck, it puts you in a bad position, it's, like that. I mean,
it's it definitely does. Here's the thing, this is hard for me to say. I don't want to exclude men from this. If anybody wants to find out more information, you can go to the 1in6.org. I don't know if you've ever looked at that, but it's
I've
1
never
in
looked
6
at it.
men.
Oh wow.
1 in 6 men have been victims.
Wow.
But it's not about men right now. So you guys are going to have to take a little back seat for a little bit, and then we can come back to you, which we should, just take a little bit of a back seat for a moment. And because if you look at and this is just statistics from the EEOC, like the Equal Employment Opportunities Commission. 8 in 10 complaints from them are women sexually harassed or abused in their workplace, which is staggering, thinking about how big that organization is, and 8 out of 10 issues that they get have to do with that. And it's that number increases when your intersection builds, by the way.
Right.
That's it goes up from there. It gets even worse. So again, I think it all comes back to education. It all comes back to conversations, how much we can talk about this, what we can do on a grassroots level, what we can do on a local level. It is affordable. It is acceptable, but no one's going to hand it to you. So you're going to have to be the one to read a book, read an article, Google some resources, go to the places that you belong to, whether it's the Brewers Association, the NBAA, the NBSC, Pink Boots, Craft Women Connect, Women of the Vine and Spirits, like any of those places are going to be talking about this, right? And they're going to have resources for you. Now is the time to do it, because now you're going to get everything that you need right at your fingertips,
Yeah. The resources are being set up there. Yeah.
And and even going to, plug for my good friends and colleagues, Dr. J. With Crafted for All, you can take the Crafted for All pledge for free. Just sign up on our website. It's free. And it's a commitment to making your workspace a more inclusive place.
Yeah.
You know, and Ren, who's doing her work with beer diversity, is doing amazing things. She's up in Canada, but she does a lot of work in the US. Beer is for Everyone is a great website. Stephanie Grant is doing amazing work in this space. Like it's just there's a lot out there. Take advantage.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say the person I was talking about earlier is British Beer Girl on Twitter. So I don't know if you've seen any of her
I'll
stuff.
Have to look her up.
Yeah. She actually has really had some pretty good stuff on different things that were taking place and some good things that she was sharing. But she had recently had to just start taking stuff down because now she's being threatened with lawsuits for releasing some of the stories. And that's one thing that, to talk about as well, to get your perspective on it, being a woman there. It's like, how do you, I guess the only way you can say is how do you validate some of the things, right? Because, for instance, I can give you a situation that I'm actually in right now researching where I've had one thing come from one person that was definitely some abusive type things that look like there. But, I talked to Brianna about it as well, and she was like, well, if you know both people, then I would reach out to both and kind of see what the response is, anything, which I did. And that person that ran the brewery responded back, denying the stuff, saying there was other things that were here and there, a little cloudy because they were in a relationship together. So it wasn't like they weren't together. So that always makes it a little bit cloudy, when you connect with somebody you're working with, there's issues that can be done a lot. So you got to always weigh that thing.
Yeah.
But at the same point, and now that person has also let me know other people that are willing to also say things that happen, not just with her, but with other women. So now that's another page and it's kind of like, but at the same point, you don't want to put a lot of these women, I guess, out there where they feel they're going to be scorned for coming for. I think, but you have to validate in some kind of way. I don't know the best. I mean, does it become a word versus a word, or until how do you know like when to?
Yeah, this is okay. So first, you just identified the problem in itself is that when you don't have a reporting system in place, it's literally, well, this person said this, and then this person said this, and then this person said this. And people's memories suck, by the way. They suck. So if any time has gone by, then you're really screwed because not only do you not have a paper trail, you don't have an accurate report in a timely manner, but then there's like details that fall through the crack. And when you're dealing with trauma, sometimes you get like Swiss cheese brain, right? Like you remember certain details, but your brain can't remember other details. So then it's spotty in itself, right? This is the importance of having a reporting system in place. And I'll tell you right now, there's one of them is called WeVow. It's online, super cheap, easy to get. It's like $15 to $30 a month. There's another one called #NotMe that people can access. It's literally as simple as having an app for your company of like, this happened to me. I want to write it down. I want to get it on the record. And then if something comes up later, or if we go forward pursuing something, there's a paper trail, right? It's the same as our judiciary system. Like you have all the evidence in place, right? Like you need to have a paper trail of everything that's happening because you do get, well, this person's account of this, and then there's other people involved, and then it gets very like messy. So I would say first and foremost, if you want to do the most good in the world, get a reporting system in place. And I don't care if you're a business, an organization, a beer homebrewing club, whatever it is, get a system in place and get some policies in place. Like if this, then that, if this happens, then we will do this, just simple things like that. And it doesn't cost you a ton of money. It could be as simple as, fill out this Google form when this happens, and we'll send it to my cousin Carl, who's an anonymous party, and he can look at it and keep track of records. I don't suggest you do that, but I'm saying if you're really strapped for cash and you can't like afford, a whole system. But that's the best way to go about doing it. And then just getting as many details as possible and making sure that you are asking that person when they share their story what they feel comfortable with. Do you want to verbalize it? Do you want to talk on the phone? Do you want to have a video chat? Do you want to write it down on paper? The outlet that will be the less traumatic for them is probably the best way to go.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, just being respectful of the fact that they might want to do it anonymously. They might feel comfortable putting their name on it. They might feel comfortable naming names. They might not feel comfortable naming names. So there's a lot of facets to it. It's hard. It's hard.
Definitely.
Again, it's hard and heavy, you know?
Yeah. Because I mean, the one person is okay naming the names. Mm-hmm. Like we've already done like a video talking about it. I haven't released it just because there were things that were raised that I wanted to validate back, you know, with the other person. Who basically came out with their thing, but then obviously they didn't want to get on here and say anything because they're more worried about how it may affect them. And they don't see it as any type of win, even though they said they did other things to rectify it, and it wasn't things that the way I heard them that they actually have. That's where you run into is kind of like other things where someone says, "Well, it didn't happen. That never happened. This is what happened," and. Mm-hmm. And when both people have that sincerity or whatever it seems, or as you're trying to read through or you're trying to go through the details, that's where it gets kind of hard because the last thing you want is to put something out there that's not true about someone as well, if you're going to share that information. But at the same point, we know how the culture is. We can go back and look at the whole Judge Kavanaugh trial. And when he went to go on the Supreme Court, not trial, but basically being selected for the Supreme Court, the hearing, it was kind of like how much she was being hit on, and it's kind of like you see why a lot of women don't want to come forward with stuff. So at a point it becomes like a he said, she said, and then you got other people you're calling in and I can attest to this or I can attest to that, and then I was told one person can attest to what person said, the other person said that same person can attest to them, and so then it's like okay, so this person you're both mentioning can play both sides it seems. So like it's just. It becomes a thing that's like, and if it's something where, if it's something where it's just a relationship that went bad, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about more of the abuse. I mean, obviously you can have abuse and that type of thing, but at the same point, I don't know if there's someone trying to get a vendetta back at the other person because something may have happened between the two. They didn't break up the right way or however it may be. So at the same point, I don't want to give it any less weight if that was the case and that was a situation. Then I want to make sure that's counted as well. So it's just a tough thing. It's not as clear cut sometimes. And that's where you run into, you know, what was this type of situation. So you look at some of the cases. Consent is a big thing. You know, even if you are in a relationship, like not to go too scary here, but marital rape is a thing. That does happen. Like, it definitely does. Like, and there's still some states where you can't even take up charges against your spouse. You still can't do it in some states. Which is scary, right? Yeah. Like it freaks me out as being, you know, but that's a legal binding commitment. You know, you file for the marriage certificate and all that kind of stuff, but that doesn't mean that that other person can violate consent. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm wearing a crop top. That doesn't mean that you can touch all the things. Yeah. You know, like, not yours, right? Like I might be able to put it out there, but that doesn't mean I'm, you know, something visual is not giving you verbal consent to do anything. Just because I'm dating you doesn't mean I'm giving you consent to do whatever the hell you want to, you know? So that's hard. I hate to say stuff like that because I'm not a lawyer and I am not a counselor. Anyway, just to give people a disclaimer, please don't call the Better Business Bureau on me. I'm a business consultant and I do not purport myself, even with finance. You know, I'm like, ugh, I don't want to mess with people's money. But, you know, it's, that's very hard. And again, that's why it's so important to have anonymous reporting if you can, because that does help people be a little bit more honest. And then also it's done on their terms. So they feel a little bit more comfortable with like, you know, I can report this in a timely manner. I can give all the details. My name is not going to be blown up. I don't have to worry about losing tips or losing my job or losing employment, you know,
and then that way they can carry on. But you're notified of a problem so that you can take care of it before it gets way too bad. So I hope that helps. I hope that's what you were asking me.
Well,
I feel like I kind of went off on like a million things, but
no, I mean, it was definitely, again, it was more the perspective type thing, because right now I'm just letting things kind of go. You know, both of the people I know, I said, well, there's things that are in process already, legal type things and stuff. So next couple of weeks, you know, the things fall out, and both people know. And I spoke to the one person that told me she's understandable. The brewer spoke to them. It was like, you know, as these things break out, if things do come back one way or another, then we'll look at doing something at that point. But, you know, and I told him, I was like, if this stuff is true, I mean, I don't tolerate that. If this stuff is happening, then this will be all the kind of stuff that I mentioned. And that's the same thing telling her. So it's kind of like, you know, and that goes back to me also being someone that went through journalism and has a journalism degree, because we've always like, you know, get two sources before you release any story to make sure you've got the stuff that's out there. And she has other people that she can confirm her part of it that she's asking them to talk to me about. So I'm like, if that's the case, then that's the case. And again, I hate to be like, it's not like something where I'm doing this to try to hurt someone building their business, but at the same point, it's something where it's not that being tolerated. It's another story that needs to be shared. Because again, I feel like when you're not telling these stories or you're not sharing these stories, that you're basically silencing the voice of the people that are being oppressed. And at the same point, you're stopping others from coming forward, being able to share theirs because they don't feel like they would get any type of relief. So for me, it's like, if this is something that's true, then I'm willing to go ahead and put that out there on stuff. And it's just getting to that right level.
If we can normalize these conversations, because, you know, inevitably when people talk about like sexual harassment and discrimination or violence or anything like that, it's like, oh, like, this could be an uncomfortable conversation every day. Just get comfortable with it. Get comfortable with it. And know that everyone is going to make mistakes along the way. Like my conversation with you in this, somebody will find fault in it. I guarantee you that. Like I'm going to make mistakes along the way. I'm not an expert on this subject or anything else for that matter. Like if I start talking about biochemistry, I'm surely going to make mistakes because I don't know shit about biochemistry. But, you know, it's knowing that going into a conversation, I think it makes people relax, you know, like, don't worry if you make a mistake. Don't worry if you say the wrong thing. Don't worry if you use the wrong term or forget a term or let's just normalize the conversation. Let's get used to talking about these things out in the open, and hopefully the progression of things will go as like, we'll get used to talking about it, and it will be sort of a commonplace thing of this is not tolerated. This shouldn't be happening. And then we'll fix the behavior, you know, or at least mitigate it as best as we can.
Yeah.
So
I would say the goal ultimately I look at is to still push forward. You may fall, you may trip or whatever, but as long as you're still getting out and you're still pushing forward, that's all part of the course you're going to have to run. So in
marketing, we have a saying in marketing called "You want to learn how to fail fast, like super fast." Right? Because you want to be able to identify like what's not working and, you know, get it out the door. Like fail fast, people. Yeah. Just start talking about everything. And don't worry if you trip up. It's fine. Just learn something from it and move on. Have like that growth mindset of like, I'm going to make mistakes and that's cool. And when I get to the speed bump, I'm just going to trip and then I'm going to put a Band-Aid on my knee and I'm going to get up and move on. You know, no big deal.
Yeah. I mean, it's never about the fall. It's how you react to the fall. So,
as long as you keep going, it's fine. As long as you keep going. Trust me, I've said some stupid stuff in my career. It's not like I'm not immune to that. Like I talk about misogyny in the beer industry. There's been times where I've joined in on, you know, like the locker room talk to seem like I'm the cool girl in the room.
Yeah.
Awful. Then I'm cannibalizing my own gender in the representation in the industry, right? Like I'm feeding the machine, and I can fully admit to that. And I can think of some instances specifically in my head right now from my sales career where I'm like, why on earth did I go to Hooters with my national account sales manager and buy him lunch so that he can ogle girls, while I'm trying to like make a sales deal. Why the hell did I do that? I didn't have to do that. That's terrible. Like, but it's, I'm hoping that more conversations like this on these platforms. So thank you for hosting this.
No, thank you. I mean,
it is so incredibly important.
I'm just a vessel. I'm glad you came aboard to do everything.
I love getting to chat with you. It's fun, and it gives me an excuse to have an afternoon beer before I go back to herding cats and my children for the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah. Some of the comments. Rascal said, "This is one of the best chats I've heard of a lot of times in the industry. Really appreciate it. Bravo." Thanks, Rascal. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Buddy Micah said, "Hey, bro." So he's actually watching a little bit. Hey, Rod and Julie. That's from Wayne. Wayne does a great beer channel down there in North Carolina as well. And let's see. I just filmed 3 reviews back to back, so I'm doing good right now. Let's see who's responding there. And Jules also, hey buddy, hey lovely Julie, great name by the way. So
thank you. Yeah. Great name as well. Awesome.
Jules always good. Actions speak louder than words. Truth, yeah. No one can argue with your feelings. Psychology 101. Cheers everyone. Happy Sunday. It's my boy Blake over in Arkansas, and shout out to him and to his dad. His dad's actually dealing with hip surgery and stuff. So glad that hopefully Pops will be home soon there, Blake. Very profound, Rod. Yeah, so she mistyped Rob for Rod. Yeah, I know what you meant. It's just, sometimes we do think here. It's not always about drinking the beer. Sometimes we do think as well. Micah says, "Yep, I'm here." So yeah. So, but it's just crazy seeing some of the different things out there, and I feel like there is a tide that's kind of turning. As far as how people are looking at stuff. Occasionally, you'll still get some of the comments out there that sometimes you'll see someone will say, well, at least as long as the beer's good, I think that's all that matters. And it's like, well, people can always put their head in the sand, I guess, if you want. I mean, you can't control people's actions and stuff along those lines. But those comments are more far and in between nowadays that I see on different things. It's funny. We were talking about different stuff. So last night, I mentioned the UK. I've got friends in the UK doing a channel, and I popped on one of their streams in the comments, and one of the guys, Jake, he was like, "Oh, I got to read you this thing." It was the funniest thing. I laughed for like a while. So he was on Twitter. And so Twitter yesterday, Founders, which we know the Founders history on stuff, they have put in a thing like, and they were like, "How would you finish this statement? I like a beer that isn't a blank." And so I commented, like, not really. I got like a bunch of comments like back, or like people like liked it and retweeted it. I was like, "Not racist?" Question mark. And he was like, I just backed up and like, he was like, all these comments are coming in. I see Rod's out there, not racist. And like people were like liking it, but Founders won't respond to it. So
of course they won't. No, you're probably going to get booted off of their feed. That's what they do with their Instagram followers. Yeah. I see that all the time from my friends on Twitter, and they're like, "Dang, I just got blocked from the Founders feed." Yeah. And I'm like, sorry. Like,
I'm like, come on, you couldn't have thrown a bigger softball out there for me to swing away at. I mean, that was right there.
That's called a misalignment. That is a misalignment of the I&E committee with the marketing department. That's no communication between the two whatsoever. They walked right into that. They deserve their answer.
I mean, they put it out there, and I'm like, oh, this is too easy. I was like, Wesley Snipes, a white man can't jump. It's too easy. It's too easy.
It is not your fault for answering the call on that one. That is not your fault.
I was like, if you're going to put it out here like that, I'm going to answer it. So yeah, but thanks, Jules. I know as well. Beer dyslexia, right? It happens. It's all good, my friend. But no, so that was funny yesterday. But I feel like we are hitting that point where things are starting to pop up more. Like I said, I'm seeing more companies. I forgot who the last one was, though. They released a thing pretty much talking against the things that have been happening in craft beer world and how they're not a part of that and how they're looking to be a better brewery. And I've seen a couple other people do some stuff like that. Again, still reads a little more like a PR statement than from the heart, but at least, it's not that where they were accused of anything. And at the same point, it was something where they were trying to get ahead of the curve. So, in that regard,
Yeah, I greatly dislike the statements that usually start with "We stand united with fill in the blank."
Right.
Whatever you want to put in there. That's exactly what that is. Yeah, that's exactly the same situation. Again, like we said earlier, you would be better off just saying, "Hey, women in the beer industry, we suck at this. We're sorry. We're going to fix it. And this is what we're going to do." You would be much better off saying it like that rather than crafting some overworked, over grammar, discombobulated thing of, we stand united with the victims of sexual harassment and abuse, and we have the best intentions and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, well, if you do stand with me, then you wouldn't be making this statement in the first place, because you'd probably get in trouble for something. And then also, I am going to be curious to see people's follow-up. Like, it's cool that you put out a social media statement on May 24th, but where are you going to be at on September 24th? Because I'm probably going to check your feed again to see what the hell you've been doing. And then next year in March, when it's Women's History Month, is it going to be crickets on your social media feed? Or are you gonna come back and revisit this? Like, how is this going to play out? Right? Like, there's some, and not to say that social media is the end all be all of that measure. They could be doing things that are not so public, but if you are making positive change and forward action, show it to us. Like, put it out there. Tell people, like, people don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
Just explain it to us. We adopted this system. This is what we're putting in place. This is the retribution and assistance that we're getting for people that have experienced this. And that's really all you have to say. It sounds so much better than, like, we stand together with the women that work at. No, you don't. Not yet, but you can.
Yeah.
there's hope. Like, you can, like, you can do something different. So again, I'm cautiously optimistic for everybody in the craft beverage space right now, but I would say actions speak louder than words. The people that I've spoken to lately, they want to see accountability. They want to see systems that you've put in place to hold yourself accountable. They want to see, the work that you're doing, and we want to see it consistently, like 2 months from now, 3 months from now, 4 months from now, to where it becomes like a norm instead of just something unusual. Kind of like, posting an MLK Jr. quote on MLK Jr. Day. You know what I mean? And then there's nothing else
I see so
in their marketing materials about that. It's like, ugh. It's really awful. But it's, hold people accountable for that. And the general public can do it too. It's not just the industry people. The general public can reach out on your website, on your info form, like our contact us form. What are you doing about misogyny in the industry? Do you have a safe workspace? Like, can you explain to us? And the people that are actually doing it would be like, sure, we have this, 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 and this. This is what we have in the brewery. This is what we have in the tap room. We use this system. Awesome. Good. We're done. Like, at least you're doing something proactive about it.
Taking those steps and everything.
Yeah. And for all the people that are listening, that get into these comment sections with the people that say, like, I don't see color when I drink, and I don't see gender, and,
That's one of the worst
all that kind of
ever.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's not about you, because you're in the majority. So if anybody wants to reply with that, I'm giving you permission right now to just say, it's not about you. You're in the majority. You've already had a seat at the table. You've got to go to the back of the line or the back of the bus, or you got to get in the back seat for just a little bit while we take care of people that haven't had the same opportunities, that haven't had the same opportunity for advancement, extra training, raises, what, even like finance, like getting a loan to start their brewery. Like, there's There's so many things that can happen, and don't expect your brewer to look like you.
Yeah.
Don't ever. Not everyone looks like you. So the more that you can just go out there and say, even my doctor is not going to look like me. My favorite brewer is not going to look like me. My favorite like bakery person to go to is not going to look like me. And the sooner you accept that, the easier all of this is going to get.
Yeah.
If that's my closing statement.
Acceptance is the key. Well, Micah said he saw my founder's comment and died. So yeah.
I'm sure he did. Yes. Yes.
Jules said they had it wrong. I said a white man can't jump. She said no, they can't dance. So she's in the midst of a worker comp legal battle right now. So she's dealing with some stuff there. And yes, PR, we stand united against a fight of blank. We feel those in our community who have felt oppressed and blank. Yeah, it's like the generic thing there. It was Jules. Jules says, "Amen, my sister," and she said it's freaking generic. Yeah, proof in the pudding. Exactly. Anyone can whine, be provocative.
Proactive.
Proactive.
I think she just mistyped. I think it's proactive.
It's the beer dyslexia again. Proactive.
No, I think it's the Julie connection. Like I
understand. I think so. Rod, I like this Julia wise. She's awesome.
Oh, thanks.
I wanted to get her back before I actually did now because everybody that was when that Women in Volume 1, I wanted to get on for 101, and then things would just fall. We get busy and we get caught up and stuff. Which I'm going to do a Volume 2 at some point. I need to do another one. That
very
was fun.
Cool.
I was so happy to have all you guys on there. It was awesome. Just soaking it all in and everything. So, yeah.
That was a good time. And I'll tell you what, the more diverse panels that we can have in discussions like this, the better. It does. Yeah. Like you're doing all the good in the world. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. It's funny because, I've been in the beer community since March 2015. So 6 years or whatever. Wow, man, it really goes by. But I still don't see a ton of women out there. I have a few, like, Two Blondes and a Beer. They were on with this. There was a couple other that come in and out. Definitely still more than male dominant. And I always joke, like on the show, and point out the fact that the first brewers were women. It's like, how do women get squeezed out of an industry they actually, as far as we know, probably created and started? So it's kind of weird. Yes. You have that, like any industry, women would have dominated, would have been the brewing one, yet we have such a small representation of something they actually, historically going back, look to be the creators of. It just blows my mind.
Yes. And you know what? I'll put this on your radar because I love plugging my friends, by the way, on like all kinds of stuff. Is Tara Nurin, who is a beer journalist. She writes about beer all the time for Forbes and like a whole bunch of other publications. Has the history of women in beer. Her first book is coming out in September, and you can pre-order it right now on Amazon. So if you want to learn how that progression happened, she has chronicled like all of it. I'm a little biased because I contributed I contributed to the book, but it comes out in September. It's a actual written history of how that shift actually happened. Like going from women brewsters all the way up to like tales of like witches and like whether or not
that's the other thing I was gonna say.
And then moving into like modern day stuff.
It's like not only that like women get pretty much pushed out of it, then they got kind of villainized it with the whole going to the witchcraft type situation. Like because the whole idea of the witchcraft and the witch relates back to when they say women were brewing, the cauldron was them basically making the brew. The pointed hat was for a reason for that and everything. And like, there's a lot of stuff that goes along with what they were doing then that they linked over to the whole. It's like just crazy on how some of these things have been done over a period of time.
It's an interesting history. And she did a lot of research for that book. A lot.
Oh, I bet.
So it's, it should be really great. And there's a lot of cool stuff with women in beer going on right now. I just did the Crafted for Action conference from Jen
Yes,
Price.
I've heard about that. How was
out there
that?
in
And
Atlanta.
Yeah.
She's amazing. She's freaking amazing. And you know, gosh, so many women in Atlanta right now. That's a big beer scene right now. If you're anywhere close to Atlanta. And Jeff Allworth from BeerVentures.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, he's got that diverse brewery database where you can actually look up. I don't know if you've seen that. It's like a Google sheet, and it's got BIPOC breweries, it's got LGBTQ, it's got women, it's got AAPI, like all the diverse communities that are out there within craft beer, all in one freaking spreadsheet. Keep it on your phone when you travel. You know what I mean? Just like keep it on your desktop. Like go explore. Jeff is very receptive. So Rod, if you look at it and you see anybody that's missing, just email him. He will put somebody on there immediately. But it is the list is growing and growing and growing, which is amazing to see. And, you know, the more that we can get projects like that going, the better. I think it's pretty awesome. So
yeah, I think I actually might be on Jeff. Somebody last year,
that'd be awesome if you were.
You know, Daddy Porter. I don't know if you know Greg, Daddy Porter.
He was on our panel discussion last time. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So he recommended me to somebody. I think it might have been like they contacted me to put me on the map or whatever for Cincinnati. I think that might have been the one. If not, I'm on one. I know that's out there somewhere. But I'll have to look to see. But Daddy Porter, Greg does a lot of good stuff in the beer industry too.
I try to add my friends, like when I don't see them on there and I know they're in the beer space, and I'm like, oh, we got to add these people. You know, it's important to add them on there. And I'm glad that he started that because it's an ongoing project that he's just going to keep out there for anybody who wants to view it. So it's cool. It's a good thing. There's good things happening besides the bad. You know what I mean? Like
the cool stuff of the beer industry. I mean, the different things that you have there and things like this that, you know, breweries have reached out and stuff. I mean, you go out there, you do things, you have fun, you make a lot of connections. I've met some really good people throughout my time and messing around with the beer industry. And it's been positive. Like you said, I've had friends that have had some of the negative type things. Knock on wood, I haven't been in any of those situations, but it could happen at some point. I don't know. I mean, it's just, you know, but there are things out there, and, you know, there's good and there's bad with a lot of stuff, right? So, but the better we can make the industry itself, the better we can help to prevent any of this other stuff from happening, and getting out the people that do cause these issues is a good step as well. So
definitely. And, you know, the power is with the consumer too. Like when you go to somebody's tap room, don't assume that the head brewer's male. Don't assume that person behind the tap room bar didn't make your beer. You know, don't assume anything. Just go in, set the bar low, be there to appreciate the liquid, and be receptive to anything unusual that you might find, you know, and speak with your wallet.
Yeah.
You know, actually, put your dollars back into circulation where they should be. That's why it's called circulation, because we circulate it in the community. You know what I mean? Like that's
the local independent argument, right? So keeping the money in the community as much as you can.
Yeah. And if you can do that, that's how you can contribute. Just as it, you know, even if you're just a fan and you're not in the industry and you're like, this sucks. Like this is awful. Speak with your wallet. Pay attention to the people that are not creating safe spaces, you know, make an effort not to support them. It's just the same as if you were to hear like any other business does something that you don't like. I'm just going to choose not to support them. We live in a capitalist society. You can speak with money. You can make a big difference when you start talking dollars. Ask founders.
Oh. Yeah. I mean, they're still making enough that they're still, I don't know. Someone had asked me if I ever thought that I would drink Founders again. And I'm like, I don't know. For me at this point, it's such a way down the road type thing. I mean, unless I see like new management came in and they changed some stuff, because if you still got the same old management there that was doing the things they were doing, I can't trust them. So I would never drink it with the current management there. So basically they're under, the same company that owns Avery Brewing. I'm going to say San Mateo.
Oh, is it San
San Miguel. San Miguel. They're the San Miguel. Yeah.
Mahal Partners or something. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they own Founders. So unless they did something and they brought in new management, or they kind of, there was directives out there on we're replacing so-and-so and we're doing this now, or they put an action plan or something out there that I felt comfortable with, I don't see me drinking Founders. And I used to be a huge Founders fan. I actually knew some of their salespeople at some of our beer fests. We connect on things. And it's funny, one of the guys I knew, he left Founders to go to another brewery. I sent him an email. Well, I'm glad you're here now and not over there and stuff. And started talking to me about the brewery he was at. And he understood. He knew the reasoning, what my thought process was. And it's, when you do talk with dogs, when I do see people, it was funny, Founders, so they're in Detroit, they're in Michigan, and they ended up teaming up with the 76ers to do Founders All Day IPA at the stadium. And I was like, funny, like, why did you go there? I mean, did you not get enough support there with the Pistons, or were you not able to go to the Pacers? Like, you went across a couple states to try to get a deal with someone where you had closer opportunities where you were at. So that just tells me that maybe some of the heat was a little more closer to home, that people weren't wanting to have them there either.
It might have been. Yeah, it very well could have been. And this, it is, no matter how big or small the company is, it is on them to do their due diligence in some way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? Like they can't, I get annoyed with people say, oh, we have a huge organization and it's hard to, manage everything and all that kind of stuff. And, I wish some of these people would listen to like Brene Brown and like Audre Lorde. Like, let's just put you in a chamber and you can just read all their books and listen to all their audio files. And hopefully you'll come out a better person. Like, let's just pick those two ladies to like, do everything. But it's it's not going to be easy. I hate to like, it's funny. We have some of these big names that we kind of bring up as like big public examples. Now there's even more. Like if we were to have this conversation a couple months from now, we're going to be saying like, oh, Modern Times, Hill Farmstead, Tibered Hands, and then they're going to get lumped in with Founders and Boulevard and Brewdog and all those people, I don't think the list is going to get any smaller, unfortunately, but
no, I don't think it is either.
Yeah. It's not going away anytime soon. It's not something that like you can ignore as saying like, oh, it's just on social media right now and we'll just put out this really crappy statement, like public statement, and then people just forget about it in 8 weeks. Like this is not going to go away, I hope that people will continue to develop ideas and utilize resources. I will say this is a shameless self-plug right here. So there's a project that I'm involved with that I would love to mention while I'm here.
Sure.
And I hate to say this, but I'm going to have to go in just a second because my kids are imploding and my husband's
I'm running out of time
he's
over here.
He's starting to like sweat a little bit. He's perfectly capable, but I can see like the furrowed brow is starting to get like a little bit deeper. But so it's myself. It is the planning committee is basically Not Your Hobby Marketing Solutions. The Safe Bars organization, safebars.org. They provide resources, education, and training for the hospitality sector, which includes breweries. They provide you with code of ethics, complete guidance on what you need to do. Basically, they have it packaged for you. Just talk to them. It's also Lady Justice Brewing out of Denver. Those women are amazing. woman-owned, Latina-owned, queer-owned brewery based in Aurora, Colorado. And also the Craft Beer Professionals Facebook group. And Andrew has a YouTube channel as well. You might have like crossed paths with him. So believe it or not, we started planning this project back in January, and we didn't plan on hard launching it until like the fall. And then, you know, Instagram happened. So we have moved up our timeline. It's a very scary coincidence, but basically we've put together this concept for a national collaboration brew, similar to like Marcus's wonderful work with Black is Beautiful. You know, Things We Don't Say IPA by Hope for the Day, raising awareness for mental health. We have put together something called the PACT Pale Ale. PACT stands for Promise of Awareness, Compassion, and Trust. And we have more details coming out soon. We've had to like greatly shorten our timeline, so just bear with us. But if people Google PACT Pale Ale Initiative, it will come up on our sign up page. We're asking people to sign up on the website and say, hey, I want to, you know, raise my hand to adopt a code of ethics laid out by Safe Bars. And you get the beer recipe, you get the marketing materials, and we're asking that people take the proceeds from the beer that they sell, that they make and sell, and reinvest it into sexual harassment awareness training and bystander training, or to donate to an organization that helps assist in this area. So I would love to float that out there. It's actually also open to other people in the alcohol space. So if you make cider, if you make mead, if you do spirits, if you do wine, if you're a home brewer, there's a home brewing recipe that you can brew your own packed beer. You know, so yeah, I want to float that out there for everybody.
If you can email me the details on it, then I can get that on the Facebook page and the blog and all that stuff too. So
that would be great. Thank you.
Just give me that information.
Sure. The more people we can get on board, the better. It's just, it's not so much a beer to raise awareness for the problem, because we all know that this is happening. This is obviously a problem. This is something that we can brew together to say, here's our first action step. Here's our next action step. And it's a step in the right direction so that we can eliminate some of these stories. So yeah, that's kind of, what we're shooting for. I could see somebody in the comments is like, you can hear my kids screaming in the background.
Oh yeah, well, I heard your husband's voice for the first time, so yeah, I think he's getting to that breaking point as well, which is hilarious.
Because I made it through the broadcast. I'm like, I've talked to Rod for a while. I've had my afternoon beer. I'm ready to take over the shift now.
Of course, next time we get you on, we're going to get the 9-year-old on so he can give us a little breakdown on how he sees the beer.
I know.
So, yeah.
I'll get him to give some, like, tasting tips and maybe some tips on glassware and things like that.
But I'll get the final comments here and we'll wrap it all up. Assumption is the mother of all evil. Mouth wearing your foot scent.
Yes.
Yeah. That's better than assume makes an ass out of you and me. Like, don't make me part of the ass. That was all you. So, yeah, I like Julie's a lot better. You assuming that Julie she said there it is. Don't give your pearls to swine, right? Yeah, don't support them if they're not doing the things you want them to do.
Definitely.
So yes, you have to always be able to prove your assumptions. No personal experience. So hashtag wisdom. Let's see here. You never let the other person. You never know what the other person's feeling, thinking, or trying to express unless you listen here. Yeah. It's funny because I used to do sales training for reps. I'd always tell them you have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and that's for a reason. So hubby wears his foot in the mouth more than he should. So she's got her hubby there.
Yes.
I assume I know nothing, but it's probably a great assumption. Well, I'm assuming that's right.
There you go.
Let's see here. I know idiocracy is age old and will be here as long as people are. Yeah,
that's the truth. We say that a lot in our house, that you can't fix stupid.
Yeah. Where's your mother? Yeah. Yeah, kids yelling all the way through at my house. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids will be kids, right? Kids always rule the house. So there you go.
Oh yeah.
Let me see. Training is bystander training is epic.
It is.
Yeah,
No, it
like
is
you said,
so
thanks.
important.
Great job.
So
Yeah.
important. Oh,
No,
thank you, Micah.
it was great having Julie on. It was just my honor to be able to bring her back on here again. Let me see. My boy is 10 years old. I don't think it was him, but I have flashbacks. I guess hearing your kids.
They sound the same.
But Vanessa, she spent a lot of time in the military. As a military trainer, always want to be able to articulate the voice to large groups effectively. All my mom's yelling at us. 6 kids paid off for me in the service. So learning how to use those vocal cords. But no, it was great. Yeah. It was great as always to have you on. I'm glad that you were able to get freed up so we can do some stuff here. And
thank you.
You're always welcome. Anytime you come on, some of the stuff that you're doing and things like that. You're doing some great stuff. So, yeah, more breweries should be hiring you. I said that on one of the LinkedIn posts out there,
thank you.
know.
I hope so. Let's just walk away with that. Just listen to Julie and Rod talk for a while. By the way, please hire Julie because, she's tired of leaning on her husband for all the corporate benefits. Please fund my company.
I mean, the knowledge, the experience, everything that you bring to it. And again, I tell people, if people ask me, why diversity and inclusion is important, because when you have people at the table that are helping you make these decisions, you're not doing the stupid stuff that we're often seeing people do. So, if you'd had someone at some of these tables that would say, no, that's not a good idea to do it this way, or to roll out the beer. And we're out of time pretty much today, but next time I'll have to get you back and talk about some of the labeling, like on some of the cans, because you're in marketing and some of the names they put on some of the beers can just be a turn off to a lot of people as well. So that could be a whole separate episode on talking about beer labeling. Yeah.
I'll give you a primer for that. So over on my, let's see, it's on I think it might be on my YouTube channel. So I gave a talk a couple of months ago on beer and feminism. And that was something that I brought up. And I had rattled off probably 20 or 30 different names of beers that were actually based on rape culture. And I thought people were going to have a heart attack. But it's one of those things, you got to talk about it, right? We got to get uncomfortable. Otherwise, we can't change it. And people don't realize that's such a small thing. But by making it small and like a joke and something funny, you're also making it acceptable. Right. And if we can eliminate some of that, yes, we will definitely go there on the next chat because trust me, I got plenty to say about that.
Well, see, now you guys know. Next time we're all liking stuff there too.
Yes, I have plenty to say on that note. But thank you to everybody who got through this with us. Everyone's comments were so nice. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful.
Thank you, Jules, as well. It's great, and you guys all watching this stuff makes it fun too. This channel, what I want to do are things like this. Of course, a lot of people watch the beer reviews, but I always try to bring different educational aspect to it, different things that have other people in. I'm fortunate that people like Julie can come on and they feel great coming on. And it's kind of like, I don't have to write a check yet, but.
Thank you. Thank you for saying yet, by the way. I love that. But one day, I'm working on it. On it. Trust me, one day.
But, and I just feel it's a great opportunity for us to be able to share and talk about all these things that need to be discussed. So thank you again. And again, anything you want to add before we close or?
No, if anybody wants to find me, please find me on social media. I'm just as vocal on social media as I am in person. So I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can find me at Not Your Hobby Marketing on pretty much everything. You can visit my website. I am very progressive in the way that I do business. I am very loud about things, but I also tell people we live in a culture of permission. If you don't like it, you can go next door for something else. So it's if anyone has brewery owners or beverage alcohol folks that might need help with sales or marketing or questions about distribution, please have them reach out to me. I talk to everybody.
Definitely, and a lot of people here on me with Twitter or Facebook like that, so easily can find you. But I was laughing there a little bit because I would hope not, JV. But JV says surely there isn't a Bill Cosby IPA, right?
Oh gosh, I hope not.
I would hope not, but it would be past me to think a brewery tried to do something.
I would not. I hate to say it. I would not be surprised.
A Weinstein or
talk about IP theft.
Yeah,
jeez Louise, you just opened up that conversation.
Yeah.
I think I know. I could be wrong. I think I have seen like a pudding pop beer that has Bill Cosby's. I could be wrong. Someone might have to Google that for me. I could be wrong. There could be. Something in the back of my head makes me think that I've seen that before. And I was thinking to myself, like, oh, geez, IP theft alert, red flag, abort. Like, don't do that. So it could be wrong unless it was a total joke. But yeah, sometimes my memory is not so great.
It'd be a bad April Fool's joke, but I would. Well, you know what? Actually, there's a Yards Brewing Company out of Philadelphia.
Oh no!
They have a pudding pop stout.
Oh geez.
But I don't see it say anything about Bill Cosby. But it looks like you have to get it at the brewery. So
okay.
But again, Tired Hands is out of Philadelphia. So.
Yeah.
And I grew up outside
I don't know if you can see it, but Micah just said
me.
it has a Cosby sweater on it. I was like, please, God, tell me it's that print on the back of the label. That Cosby print.
Yeah, hopefully not. That would be crazy.
That would be awful. But thank you
again.
If anybody wants to reach out to me.
I did have one question for you. If you do have one. Because my buddy Mick over the UK said, if any, what is your favorite UK beer? Do you have a favorite from over in the UK?
I have quite a few, actually. And you're probably going to give me hell about it because it's going to be very commercial because I don't have access to your wonderful. I'm actually a huge fan of cask ales, like flat cask. You know what I mean? Like I'm a huge fan of cask ales, and I love a good bitter. Like I love a good ESB. Mm-hmm. I will take it any day. So, I'm trying to think of my favorite one. That's really hard to say. Probably Fuller's. Mm-hmm. They have like a, oh my gosh, it's like a cellar bitters or something that they make, but, it's delicious. I also like wee heavies quite a bit. So anybody that makes a wee heavy, I'm known to drink a Bellhaven or a Old Speckled Hen.
I went through Old Speckled Hen a few times. Yeah. Yeah.
And, back in the day, actually, one of my, it's not one of my favorites. Oh, yeah. I love cask beer. Like, I'm cask, totally, yes, I love it. Back in the day, one of my gateway beers, like people talk about, like one of the beers that got them into like craft stuff was McEwen's Scotch Ale. That shows you how I'm dating myself right there because I don't think they even make that anymore. And also, Wells. Bombardier is a good one as well. So yeah, there's my UK list for right now. Yeah. I'm also a sucker for a Sammy Smith Tatty Porter.
Well, it's funny. JV mentioned Sam Smith makes some good ones. He thought too.
Oh yeah. Well,
I like the oatmeal.
I'm a little biased because I used to work for the import company that brought Sam Smith to the US. So I drink massive amounts of Sam Smith Tatty Porter like all the time. So
Tatty Porter's good. Was that the same import that they went out of business? They retired the business now, right? There was one that was a
Merchant
big
Devin.
import.
They're still going.
They're still doing. Okay, it was another one I was thinking of. Yeah.
I think you might be crossing it with like
it was the big one up there, the East Coast.
Shelton Brothers.
Shelton, it was Shelton. Yes.
Yeah, it was Shelton Brothers. That yeah, and McEwen's. Someone said something about McEwen's. But I know it does. That was it. Hey man, my time in college, it was very like few and far between. I had like few choices, but that was McEwen Scotch Ale, and unfortunately, Shelton Brothers went into bankruptcy. But there's a lot. I can say this: don't lose faith for the people that drink beers from them. A lot of other import companies have picked up like pieces of their portfolio.
Oh yeah,
so we're still going to get stuff here. Yeah, which is great because they had some really wonderful brands. Yeah. Good stuff. Like you start. What is it?
No, he says it's a 50 Ferret and Tetley beer. Yeah.
Oh, I do. I haven't had those. Tetley.
Okay.
I've had Tetley. That I will take Tetley. I don't know about the Ferret. It scares me a little bit, but I'll take some Tetley.
Like so much beer, so little time.
I know. Exactly. Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. Again, thank you so much. This is wonderful. And we will figure out another time to talk soon.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll let you get back with the kids so you're thinking now get a little bit of a rest in maybe.
I know. I wish you could see his face. He's a little stressed right now. Yeah. So we can get back to
he can get his afternoon beer now. So
exactly. Yeah.
Thanks again, Julie. Always appreciate you on here. And again, you guys connect with Julie here, Instagram and Twitter. What I'll do is I'll let you go back and get your links in there in the description. I got your website in there, but the website has all the links there as well too. Mm-hmm. And we'll go ahead and get it shut down. And hopefully everybody has a great Sunday. Thanks for all you that hung in and leave some comments and stuff like that as well. And look forward to catching up with you guys soon. Mm-hmm. Cheers, everybody. And we will talk to you later.